Hey guys, Marcus Kakin at Blindside Football here to help you with some waiver wire pickups for Week 15, second week of your playoffs. You're looking for guys that are going to make an impact immediately or maybe give you some depth beyond this week if you think something might happen to one of your key players just in case. So first up, this is more of a depth guy for me, but Kerwin Williams from the Arizona Cardinals. He steps in as the replacement running back last week with Andre Ellington out for the season. I'm not putting real stock into Williams. He has a couple tough matchups coming up Week 15 and Week 16. And I'm not 100% sold on him being the guy for the Arizona Cardinals, who have actually struggled to run the ball quite a bit this season. This isn't a guy I can really get behind, but he's a depth play add in case something happens to one of your star running backs or flex options in Week 15. Maybe he's a guy that Week 16 you can stick in there. And at least he's a starting running back in the NFL, which accounts for something, but hopefully not a guy that you have to rely on. Same thing kind of goes for Jonathan Stewart. Had the big game last week, but this week it's sounding like D'Angelo Williams will be back and be back in the mix. I still think Jonathan Stewart will have a majority of the carries and touches for Carolina, but D. Will coming back, that's going to eat into it a little bit. Maybe with today's injury to Cam Newton, they stick with more of a run-first offense until Cam gets back, so maybe he gets a little more carries than normal, but just hard to trust Jonathan Stewart moving forward. For what it's worth, his 100-yard game this past weekend is his first since December 19th of 2010. So don't expect big games like this from him often. Dante Moncrief looks like he may be the wide receiver 2 for the Indianapolis Colts going forward. Reggie Wayne apparently has been battling with a torn left tricep, an injury that's obviously hindered him at least for the last few games. Yesterday he had just 1 catch on 8 targets, so I could see them making that switch over to Dante Moncrief, giving him wide receiver 2 snaps and just kind of seeing what he can do with it. We've seen when he's come into the game that he is explosive, can make the big plays. The Colts may want to see what they have there. I would pick him up as a speculative ad. Hard to start him this week, but maybe pick him up and see what will happen. Harry Douglas is a must-own for all Julio Jones owners right now. Julio Jones looks iffy for Week 15, and if he misses games, we know that Harry Douglas fills in great for either Julio or Roddy White if either misses time. Had 109 yards the last game that he filled in for, I believe, Roddy White. So this is a must-have wide receiver handcuff for all you Julio Jones owners out there. Next up, Marquise Wilson. He's going to step in and be that new wide receiver 2. For the Chicago Bears, now that Brandon Marshall's out and Alshon Jeffrey stepping up into that wide receiver 1 role. He's another big receiver for the Bears, and obviously we'll see a lot of snaps, but could also see a lot of red zone usage. Could see him basically used as a mini Alshon Jeffrey and could get a lot of targets and a lot of red zone looks. It's a high-powered offense that throws the ball a lot, so he could get heavily involved. Could be a wide receiver 3 down the stretch for you. So he's more of a depth play ad, but somebody I would still look to add. And then finally, for tight ends, I don't feel good about it, guys, but maybe Jared Cook if you're desperate for a tight end this weekend. Had 2 touchdowns last weekend, and I know he's fluky with those touchdowns, but this week against the Arizona Cardinals that have allowed either a touchdown or 100 yards receiving to tight ends in 4 of the last 5 weeks. Jared Cook himself, last time he faced the Cardinals, 84 receiving yards and a touchdown, so hey, maybe Jared Cook if you're really desperate at tight end, and I know a lot of people are out there. Don't forget to subscribe below for my daily fantasy updates, and follow me on Twitter at Marcus Kakin.